you happen to read the Daily Rag today?
We don't call it that. We call it Watertown Daily Times.
Oh, okay. I thought I had got that from you.
Sometimes we call it the Hoot.
The Hoot, oh.
The Das Hoot.
The Hoot.
Yeah, but I don't call something a rag or something. That sort of denigrates the work of a bunch of people who put a lot of work and a lot of their professional expertise into that every day. Now, whether you think it's always perfect, I mean, I think that, I have differences with their editorial judgment, but the fact that they're in that business and I'm not means their judgment is better than mine. Well, I wouldn't call it a rag. I would just.
Well, right. My point wasn't to slam the Times anyway. This is regarding like an Associated Press, like front page story, and it's got some quotes by Robert Gates, Secretary of Defense. And what the funny thing that it says, the big headlines are early withdrawal possible. I think whoever's like an Associated Press or if it's the Secretary of Defense, they have to look and see what the word early's gone like way past like another. There's nothing going on early in Afghanistan.
Right. Yeah. It's
and it's pretty much almost like
early compared to what?
If say you were just happen to be a child or a wife of someone who's on their third tour, and you look at this and it's like early withdrawal. Who are you trying to fool? There's nothing early about this withdrawal whatsoever. It's at this point it's not even a cut and loss. It's way past that. It's just kind of ironic that when they put a big headline like that, I guess it's just trying to
I want to ask you something here because you're kind of an observer of the human condition. I was reading something on the police blotter, and this is one of my pet peeve things, and I really don't want to say anything bad about my good friend Anthony Doldo over at the general store on Bradley Street because he's got a really, really, really nice place there, and that type of thing. But apparently a 26-year-old woman was charged by city police at 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Police say she stole a box of Charleston chews valued at $1.49 at 11:50 a.m., and she awaits prosecution in city court. Is that $1.49 box of Charleston chews really worth all of that?
Well, have you spent any time in the retail game?
Yeah, last 25 years.
Well, I would say the bar business isn't really the retail game.
People steal stuff.
Working on a store is a little bit of a different level. If you catch at any time a shoplifter, I think the stat said if the shoplifter is under 20 and that person is caught shoplifting, that they've already shoplifted no less than a dozen times. And I think the stretch, if the person's over 25, that they've already shoplifted over 100 times. That's the person that gets caught. Now, there is a rare thing where it was the first time, but I bet you this $1.49 is closer to $1,400 of theft.
So you think that
whether or not it's right from there or not. Now, if you catch a 9-year-old child, it's a little bit different. And if it's someone who's in stealing baby milk, maybe that's a little bit different. But if someone's in a store stealing candy...
A Charleston chew, what do they taste like?
I think that's a taffy, isn't it?
I don't know. I never had one.
I think it's like a taffy-coated, like chocolate-coated taffy that's like a foot long or somewhere around there, if I remember. But I don't know for sure. I haven't really delved into that. But someone that's doing that isn't doing it out of necessity. And I guess there is the thing where would you steal food to eat, and people can say they wouldn't, but when it's up against you and it's that serious, maybe you would. But the average shoplifter that's doing something like that, and there's a lot of known shoplifters, and I can tell you from them, and I wouldn't give any names, but I've just...
Right, so you think that it sends a powerful message to have this woman arrested?
Yeah.
Even though the dollar amount is probably not worth it. I might be inclined to say I just don't want that person around again. I found a wallet yesterday.
Did you just take the money out and drop it in the mailbox like you're supposed to do?
No, it was actually a woman's wallet, quite thick. It was on the ground behind my dumpster. And so I looked through it, and it was loaded. I mean, loaded with credit cards and all of these, like, PNC wild cards, all the other stuff, and a bunch of, there was an old lottery ticket in there, just a bunch of personal notes and business cards and everything.
Any cash?
No cash. So I found one of the business...
Oh, yeah, I'd say, too.
So the driver's licenses were in there, and so I found... I couldn't find a phone number, so I did find a business card, and I called those people, and they were able to get me a phone number. I called the woman, returned the wallet to her. She was very happy. Of course, she'd already probably canceled all her cards and replaced her license, but because it was stolen in late January.
Oh, really?
And not at my premises, but somewhere else on a street nearby out of her car. And I think what happened is they took it, probably grabbed the money out of it, and then just threw it, were attempting maybe to throw it in my dumpster, and it might have bounced off and fell behind the dumpster, then got covered with snow and wasn't revealed till yesterday.
Well, that was good for her that you found it, I guess. But
well, there's still a lot of items in there. I'm sure she likes getting back.
Yeah, was any of it ruined, or was it seem pretty protected?
No, it seemed pretty protected. I mean, some of the papers in there were wet, but you could make them out. I think there was an old Mega Millions ticket. I was thinking about seeing if there was any winners, but I didn't.
Now, do you know when the official date for the Lotto Deli is opening up?
No, I think they were talking towards later in March. They're still waiting on a couple different things, and like I said...
Very nice location.
Yeah, right there near the college, near the interstate, near the plaza, near the hotels.
And, the entrances are the entrance is good on both ways, and, if, you're in a hurry, it looks like you'd be able to...
Well, I think it's going to do well. It's right behind the dry cleaner there.
I know Todd. He gives 100% to everything he does, so it'll probably do well.
Exactly.
Get another thing like that in town, a little more local business, gotta love it. That's what you want.
Well, there's a lot of things opening. I mean...
Yeah, I saw that in the news the other night. There's a lot of things coming. That's great.
Everybody likes to poo-poo that and say, oh, that's just retail jobs. Well, let me tell you something. You can do all right in some retail jobs. Some are just sort of second income, young people type jobs. But the tough thing is finding anybody who wants to work. Try to find somebody who wants to work a full-time job anymore. Or they just want to work until they get a little money in their pocket, then they want to, quote, call in sick or something. But try to find somebody who wants to work these days. It's not easy.
People aren't career-oriented like they used to.
Well, they're not, and there isn't that sense of... They've been brought up to believe that if something comes up and they're due into work at 2 o'clock or something, and at noon their friend calls and wants to go to the beach, they've been brought up to believe that you just, quote, call in sick. Now, I was brought up to think you don't call in sick unless you're really, really, really sick. And, if someone is really ill, you can be sympathetic to that. But these days, it's the ethos of the workplace is that if you don't want to work that day, you just say you're sick, even though you're not. I don't like any of that.
No, I don't either.
And people don't want to earn money. I mean, they, again, at a younger age, it was like, hey, overtime, I'm in. Count me in. I mean, you got to have time off and all that, but nowadays, it's like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want to work for 40 hours. No, I don't want to do that.
And I think right now that, of course, the whole country's catching up. But New York State's had such a high minimum wage for so long that they're spoiled that you can do a loaf job in the mall, like a greeter at a box store.
Yeah.
And, if that person's making $7 an hour or $7.30 or whatever it is, what's going to encourage someone to be a heavy laborer?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. I mean, some of those jobs are just sort of interim jobs, the things you take at a certain point in life. Incidentally, Syracuse is leading Georgetown 31-25 in that Big East game going on right now.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. That's going to get all the males in the area all excited, because that's kind of like the roosters strutting around the barnyard and stuff this time of year. It's a real guy thing, this whole basketball playoff thing.
You follow it much?
A little bit, I mean, I do, because you got to have it on TV when you're in the tavern business, certainly, but I try to make sure we have it up on the screens. In high def, of course. 3 high def televisions. You can watch all sorts of different games if you want.
You see a big difference in the high def?
I think it's, I think it improves things greatly.
I do, too. I tell you, I've never watched so many things. Like the History Channel is so improved now since high def has come along. It used to be just really a lot of, like, Hitler and World War I, and,
That's why they called it the Hitler Channel. At one point, it was so many Nazi shows on there.
They have, if you watch Pawn Stars.
What stars?
It's Pawn, P-A-W-N.
No.
There's 2 shows that are real popular, Pawn Stars and Pickers. And what Pawn Stars is, and it's all in HD and it just looks great, but this Pawn Stars takes place in a pawn shop in Las Vegas. And just the interaction of people coming in and, buying and selling things and, pawning things, and they kind of follow it through. And this American Pickers are 2 guys that go around and they basically, pick through people's, not necessarily garage sale or estate sales, but they try to really get in deep into old barns and stuff and just find things to bring back to their antique shop and sell.
All right. Hey, I got another call. I got to run.
Okay. Have a great
now.
Hey, bye now, don't you?
Good afternoon, Hotline.
Oh, yeah, you hear the big news today?
What's that?
Investigators found no direct evidence about the governor.
Well, he still shouldn't have called the woman.
Well, he quoted as saying he did not feel threatened by his phone call.
That may be, but of course she's going to say that now because everybody's, nobody wants this thing to go any